Having 4 conversations with women who sort of have known the place for a long time and are between 60 and 81 years old. What I ended up with is an installation consisting of 2 pieces basically of fiberglass, which is treated with beeswax, and a audio piece that goes with it and that people can listen to sort of while they are surrounded by this installation. For me, the most interesting part of the project was actually selecting the fragments for the audio from all of these quite long conversations, and I think what I particularly enjoyed was with one of the women, who's actually the oldest. She didn't allow me to record our conversation, so I was there scribbling away, and then I had to, of course, verify with her again what she had said, because obviously I didn't write down every word, and I found it a very sort of beautiful process actually to go through the things that I had selected, where with some of them I was actually quite afraid that she would say, oh, you're not allowed to use this, because of course I had sort of selected some of the most personal things, which at the same time were the things where there were sort of these kind of images that I was looking for in her statement. And the phone call was a very sort of intimate and beautiful experience, and so we went through this text word by word, and she corrected some things, and then I suggested how things could be more understandable, and so in the end we had sort of actually quite beautifully phrased fragments of that conversation.
I selected a video installation to present my project because I was wanting to express a situation in which the digital world of the online sessions for DJing is replacing the physical encounters in clubs. And this is also happening in Neukölln, and this is especially affecting the queer community who used to gather in such places. Talking with the people running Schwutz and the people performing at the club, I learned how important are these spaces for that community. But at the same time, I also learned how they grew up as a family inside this space, and how they support each other even in these situations where they cannot gather anymore, and where also maybe they do not represent anymore a job opportunity, but more like a community. When I started the project, I thought I will find a community lacking a place to gather and suffering and not knowing what to do, but actually I found a lot of people who were very well connected and who were building this idea of neighborhood and community and selected family, where they could support each other in these difficult times.
The reason I moved to Neukölln was really just a coincidence. Actually, it happened twice, and both times it was just a coincidence because I was looking for a place to stay in Berlin, and I was basically desperately looking for a place anywhere in Berlin. But now when I think about it, I don't think it was really just a coincidence, because Neukölln is really like a magnet for young creatives, which was kind of the group I also belonged to. So not only most of the people that I knew were living in Neukölln, but also a lot of people that they knew. So it was through this big network that I ended up finding a place. So in a way, it's not really a coincidence that the place ended up to be in Neukölln. At first, if you don't pay closer attention, it really seems like there's no humans running this place. But of course, the laundromat doesn't magically get all fresh and sparkly overnight. Someone has to come and clean it. So it was a little bit like seeing it through a magnifier suddenly, because also the sound recorder that I have works like some kind of audio magnifier, so you start hearing sounds that you wouldn't really hear just with your ears. So yeah, just really I spent a lot of time paying attention to details, and I really enjoyed that.
I didn't intend to move to Neukölln. I was invited to move in with some friends at the end of last year, and I was moving from compositor, and a place that I had a really strong reaction to, like a negative reaction, and I was kind of given this way out, and I didn't really know much about Neukölln at the time. I hadn't spent so much time there, but it was the best way to get out of this like really shitty situation, and then discovered that this really the kiez that I was moving into, which was around Wildenburgplatz, was just this really quiet little pocket. I became very aware of my role within this kind of this experience, what I was doing as a white person, as a man, not a German, as a European, and going into these communities within Neukölln, which are varied, and they're all sorts of different people. But I have a role within that, and whichever way you look at it, I'm an outsider, from any of those, like with respect to any of those. Aspects, I was an outsider, and I was going into that community to take from it in some way or another.
In times where social media's algorithms polarize more and more communities and political behaviors, I am grateful to live in one of the most diverse neighborhoods of one of the most cosmopolitan cities in Europe. I chose the medium of looped magnetic tape to tell my Neukölln stories in order to materialize the sound of passing time, both as a melancholic souvenir of past decades and as a manifestation of deteriorating, repeating audio. In that sense, the title "Loop Me Out Before I Fade and Turn to Noise" refers to the technical aspect of the looped magnetic tape that repeats the same audio over and over again, as much as the metaphorical loop in which most of the people I've interviewed found themselves stuck in, going round in circles, during this particular time of lockdown we experienced this year. I love Neukölln for its diversity, its open-mindedness, but we shouldn't take this for granted, and I hope people will keep fighting against the recurrent acts of fascism as much as other societal issues such as LGBT and gender inequalities, which were the focus of most of the co-exhibited artists, which gives me hope.
It was clear to me quite early on that I wanted to see the bath shop from a dog's point of view. That is why the colors yellow and blue. Dogs only perceive these two colors as colors. Other colors appear gray to them. The video shows the situation in the store. Often a piece of meat or a fish flies over the counter. The dogs know that and like to catch it. It was very exciting to hear how the owner of the Tierfutterkrippe describes the district and the changes in Neukölln over the years from his point of view. I don't have a message, but rather wishes and a vision. That the district gets its problems under control, becomes non-violent, shows tolerance for other diverse ways of life, shows that all Neukölln residents meet in a relaxed and friendly manner, accept other people's lifestyles, take personal responsibility, feel for the well-being of all, and live this collective vision of a better world together.